Welcome to Karashil Community TV here at Kongata. I'm very excited to host you here. My name is Emmy Zoomlamai Okello. I am at FICH aid office based here in Kongata. Right now we shall have a very casual conversation, but also deep conversation around development, around the personal experience in 2023, no 2022. And then we shall see how 2023 goes based on personal experience on the team that I'm going to meet. And just to start straight away, I have on my left, I have a beautiful girl, not a girl, actually it's a lady. How are you?
I'm fine. How
Thank
are
you.
you?
I'm very fine, and welcome to Karashil Community TV.
Thank you very much.
So could you tell us who you are?
So my name is Victoria Harriet Anyango, and I work at FICH as the program officer and education.
Wow, nice meeting you. I'm very excited to meet you. Hope you will be able to share with us a lot of information around education. On my right, I have another gentleman. I wanted to know who are you?
My name is Greg Ripke, and I'm a Peace Corps volunteer here in Uganda, and I'm partnered here with FICH here in the Oyam district of northern Uganda. And my official title with the Peace Corps is a Business Development Officer, and I'm working with the agricultural and economic development sector of the Peace Corps. So I've only been in country now for about 4 months, so I'm still learning my way around, but I'm planning to have a very productive 2023 and start many projects here.
Wow. I'm excited already because here I have agribusiness, sorry, and then here I have education, and it is very important to discuss things around economy, which actually education and agricultural activities affect it. So maybe it's just to have here. You said you work in education and you support children learning, especially in your department at FICH. So what experience have you got working with stakeholders, including the children in 2023?
Okay. So my major implementations this year has been a lot of engagement with the stakeholders and with the children themselves, both adolescent and the young children. And I have interacted with them at a personal level and also at the community level. And I feel that there are still so many questions around education that needs to be answered, especially among the children. We have been talking about access, and I think that the question of access is to some extent coming clearer. It's being answered now, but now a bigger question remains the quality and the standard of education that our children are going through. It is the same education system that all of us have gone through, maybe, if not a few who did not go through. And this kind of education system that does not focus on building the skills, the soft skills of the learners, and then when they come out of school, they are very raw. They only know how to memorize.
So you're saying that soft skills is something that the education system should bring it out clearly. So why soft skills?
So I think that soft skills is very, very paramount right now if we are to talk about the issue of globalization, because the world is becoming a very thin place, a very small place to live in. And if our children cannot fit in the space of other people, then I think that our education system is as equal as a wastage of resources and time. So I think that it is very, very important that the ministry, the government should focus more attention on building the soft skills of the children that will help them to relate better with the outside world, not
Okay.
just Uganda, because we are all talking about globalization, and all of us cannot live here in this country and create a change in this country. We need to move out and come back and create a change in our country.
So, what do you mean when we talk about soft skills? What are these soft skills are we talking about? Because you said soft skills helps because now we're coming to a globalization where someone should be able to fit into any communities around the world. But what are these specific soft skills?
So some of these skills are skills that help you to, first of all, relate well with the people around you, and the skills that help you to identify the opportunities around you. And these are skills that are being looked for by employers, and are skills that will help you to sustain the relationships that you have within you. And some of these skills include the skills of self-awareness, because if you know who you are, then that means you also know your limits, you know the extent to which you can go, and then the extent to which you need improvement if you are to go beyond that. And then we also have the skills of problem solving. I think this is very, very paramount right now. We are faced with a number of issues in our society right now that keep coming up. Even the new ones keep coming up. For example, we have all been talking about COVID-19, something that we have never experienced.
Yes.
But if you have the skills of problem solving,
Yeah.
then somehow you are going to find it better to maneuver it to more than the person who does not have the problem solving
Perfect,
skills.
perfect.
Other skills include interpersonal relationships. This will help you to relate well with the people around you. Other skills include teamwork, amongst so many.
Okay, wow. I think that's a very beautiful questions that we need to answer. What kind of skills do we need? And I think your program at FICH is really creating that impact. And the government really need to bring out those skills very clearly into the national framework, especially the curriculum. And then the assessment issues, which has been quite challenging. I will come back to you, but let me first get back to Greg. Victoria here is talking about quality of education. And in the African context, especially Uganda, where we're coming from, people, the education system nurture or trained children to go to school to get degree or certificates so that they can come and get a job. And yet, over 80% of Uganda economy is agriculture. So what do you have to say around agricultural activities relating to employment opportunities for people and young people in Uganda?
Yeah, I think one of the greatest areas of development for Uganda in the areas of agriculture is what's called vertical integration. So that is when you not only grow the crops, but you process the crop, and then you actually make the end product, and then you sell it to the user. So that's what vertical integration is. And that type of system creates many jobs because harvesting out here and just putting your crop in a bag and selling it doesn't really provide too many jobs outside of transportation and storage. And those usually don't require a lot of people. However, when you get to the next level and you start processing the raw material, such as grinding, cleaning, slicing, that provides a lot more jobs. And then even the step further, if you process those raw materials, raw food materials into actual end products that are sold at stores and markets and also exported, you get a lot higher margin on those products in terms of profitability, and you also get a lot more employment opportunities because those processes are usually done in larger factories or smaller local factories, and so those types of things, the vertical integration of the agricultural economy here in Uganda would benefit many of the rural farmers here. Not only could they harvest their crops, but once it's harvested, they could also work in a processing plant or a packaging plant or something like that. that would go ahead and export it to markets either here within Uganda or externally.
So basically, what I'm hearing from you is that if the agricultural activities should be, I mean, the agricultural activities should be uh, manufactured or need to use technology in terms
Yes.
of getting more resources.
Yes,
But also,
yes.
I think when we talked about education system, so our education system should be emphasizing on how do we utilize the resources around us. And one of them is the land, which actually you grow the crops and you have able to have the ability to think further, to use the technology to add more values into the product. So I think that's a very great opportunity, and you have explained very critically the chains that exist in validations, but also on making money, which actually at the end of the day, it creates more job for people.
Yeah, yeah.
So what kind of specific crop that you could give as example in adding values? Like you talk about having the crop processing to the end product. For example, which kind of raw materials do we need to start thinking through?
Yeah, so for example, we could take corn. So
That is maize.
maize.
Exactly.
Maize here. It's usually called corn in the United States, maize here.
Yes.
Locally, it's called nwage.
Nwage. Nwage.
So, for example, if we want to vertically integrate corn, we'd have it grown and harvested here, and then it would go to a grinding mill, which some people do, and then they take it home for their own consumption, and they make something called poshu out of it. But to vertically integrate it even further, you would take that grinding or that ground corn and you take it to a factory that would process it into a bread or into like a cornmeal, a baking substance, or actually bake it into maybe something I haven't seen here a lot. People in a lot of parts of the Americas make tortillas out of the corn, which is almost like a chapati here. So, and then they could package those and sell those to the end markets, Kampala, the larger cities, even here in the local villages.
Wow.
And they could also export those products too to neighboring countries.
Okay.
And so that's the kind of example of value added or vertical integration of a crop that's widely grown here.
Perfect, then. Thank you very much. We're almost coming to an end of this discussion, but as we wind up the discussion, let me get the final words from Victoria. Victoria is talking about developing and nurturing the life skills or skills that are necessary in the world of work that you mentioned. So the skills actually can help what Greg is talking about, adding values into onto the seeds. So, but if you have no skills, you might have the land, you might grow the the crops, but then you will not have the ability and skills and motivations to add value to those crops. So I think that's why our education system should be able to shape our thinking into the available resources in our community. So as we finalize this discussion, what is your final word when it comes to the issues of shaping our education system or curriculum that promotes the local available materials like crops?
Okay. So I think I appreciate very much the government initiative of recently introducing a curriculum that is focusing on developing the soft skills among children. However,
And
it's still
the government call it generic skills.
yeah, generic skills, that's
Okay.
how they call it. And however, it's still being only implemented in the secondary school. But I also think that some of the things should not always only be a pilot, like we have witnessed with so many policies that happen within the country. They only come as a pilot, and then after a few years also it is phased out. So I would encourage that if it is possible, we could really try to upscale this and bring it down to the primary level, or even start with the nursery level, and then we take it to the universities, because I appreciate so much some of the subjects that we learn in the secondary schools. We'll sit in class and learn about agriculture, are all 4 years or even 6 years, But at the end of the day, a child comes out of school and they don't know how to dig, they don't know how to harvest crops.
And
There's
they
a
don't
lot
want, and they don't want to go to the
and
garden.
they don't want to go to the garden. That's an issue of attitude,
Yeah.
which I think the soft skills can really address it very much.
Okay.
And they don't know that this crop that I am producing can go through chains of value addition, and I will have more money other than selling it as raw as it is. So I think that practical is something that we should really embrace very much in the theories that we always learn in schools.
Okay, perfect. Oh, thank you so much, Victoria, and for that. Maybe last word from Greg. How do the community eradicate poverty with the opportunity of agricultural activities that exist, and rainfall is there? They don't even use fertilizers. But what your last advice?
Well, I mean, really, if you want to get down to the very core of poverty, and how to alleviate it, it's jobs. I mean, we can try to help provide better agricultural products or better agricultural practices, better fertilizer practices, better type of seeds that can be grown here. But that can only go so far. Really, the foundation for development to bring a country into the next level from a developing country into an established country is actually jobs. And so if you're in an area that's highly agricultural like Uganda, you need to concentrate on the vertical integration and build the factories that process these crops that are grown here.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I think this is a great. Thank you so much for sitting with me and having this conversation on the Carousel TV. So thank you very much, audience. We shall be in touch again at another time. Bye bye for now.